Okay, so this is the part that you're going to be working on while the impression material is drying. They're going to flip to the next page, and the directions are going to tell you specifically. You're going to look at a hearing aid, you're going to identify one specific problem and then one specific solution. Okay, so for example, they may give you an ITE, and you're going to look at it, and it may have something blocking the part where the sound comes out, so where the receiver is. So you would say, okay, it looks like there's a clog in the receiver area, just clean that out and you're good to go. Or you can clean out the filter and you're good to go. They'll give you something similar to like a regular BTE or a mini BTE. In this case, you would see like, okay, so there's a crimped area right here. If we replace the crimped tube, it should work again. And then they'll give you a RIC. Usually it's either a tear in the receiver part or maybe something broken in the microphones. One of those two areas, you would just say, we'd either clean out the microphone area or replace the receiver, and then you should be good to go. Okay, so that's that one part. After that, they're going to give you a dummy ear. They're going to give you a regular BTE, and they're going to give you a mold. Okay, so the first thing is they're going to ask you to show them how to retube a silicone mold. Okay, so first thing you want to do is, of course, you'll see if you use any tube blocks. If you don't have any tube blocks, you would just use regular tubing. Use what we call a force fit. So all you do is you take the tubing, of course, you put it through the back so it comes out through the front. You make sure you take your pair of pliers and just pull it all the way through until you get a nice little curve right here. You always want to make sure that when you pulled it, the tubing has to be at about 11 o'clock or a 1 o'clock depending on how you see it, but usually it's a 1 o'clock like that. You never want it to be facing straight up. You always want it a little bit in towards the head, okay? After that, you make sure you cut it nice and clean. Make sure it doesn't, scratch your fingers when you rub it like this. After that, you take the tube, you put it on the dummy ear like that, okay? You take your Sharpie, and remember to always bridge and brace when you do this. You take your Sharpie, you brace on the head or the table, wherever they have it, and you mark where the hearing aid goes. So in this case, when it's right here, in this case, you would mark it just a little bit above. So in that case, it'd probably be like right there. So you mark it there, put away your Sharpie, you take off the hearing aid, you take off the mold, you make the appropriate cut. So you just cut it off at that place where you marked it. You take the mold and the hearing aid, you put it where you did, just like that. You fit it back onto the patient's ear, and you put the mold all the way in nice and snug. That's it, okay? So that's that part, okay? After that, that's where they ask you to take out the impression, so, you take care of all of that stuff. After that, you make sure you look over everything. You look over the impression, so after you look over it, you say, okay, impression's good, there's no air bubbles, everything looks good, that's all set. You put this away, and then they're going to give you another hearing aid, probably the same one you fitted, or maybe a RIC. It doesn't matter, but they're going to give you a hearing aid, and they're going to ask you to role play. Role play as though this is the patient's very first hearing aid. Okay, so you go over everything, how to wear them, how to use them, how to take care of them, all of that, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you my spiel on what I say to patients every single time is their first time. But in general, you want to go over these main things. You want to go over what the hearing aid is, so you want to show them where the mics are, where the receivers are, how to wear them, where the volume control or the program buttons are, if they are there, battery size, how long they last, what they look like, how to put them on, what to do when they go to bed or if they walk into the shower or get their hair cut, how to clean them, all of that, okay? This part, it doesn't really matter how much you say, as long as you sound like you know exactly what you're doing, you know exactly how to put them on, how to teach the patient, you're okay. The instructors aren't really looking for specific things, they're just looking to make sure you know what you're talking about, okay? So, like I said, I'm just gonna go over my spiel, okay? I'm just gonna I'll use a RIC for this example. So first things first is I always tell them that, okay, so this is your hearing aid. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna go over how to wear them, and then after that I'll go over how to clean them and maintain them and all that stuff, okay? But in this case though, I'm just going to start with how to keep them clean, because I always found out that when teaching patients how to wear them is the most difficult part, so I want to save that for the last portion while I can go over all the easy stuff first. So in this case, I would always start off like, so this is your hearing aid. Every night before you go to bed, you always want to make sure you take them off. You want to open up the battery door. It looks like that. Okay, just simply open it about halfway. If you want, you can always open it all the way, but halfway is good. Open it, put it in your case, and close it. Okay, you always want to close it because you don't want your pets smelling them and chewing them, or you don't want to knock them over in the middle of the night. It's going to be hard to find in the morning, so always keep it closed. Okay, every morning, simply open it, close the battery door, and then put it on. Again, I'll show you how to put it on later, but right now I'm just teaching you how to take care of them. These hearing aids are water resistant, but not waterproof. Okay, so if you're a little bit of rain, a little bit of sweat is okay, but if you're gonna shower, if you're gonna go swimming, if you're gonna get your hair cut, always take them off, open up the battery doors, and put them in your case. Okay. Sometimes you get a smaller case if you want, like a case, from Dollar Tree or whatnot, just a small case, put it in there and take it with you in your pocket, or you can also bring this case if you don't mind its size. Okay. These batteries that you'll be using are 312s. Okay, they look like this. The color is brown, and as long as you go anywhere, you can go to Target, Walmart, any pharmacies, as long as you match the color and the number 312, those are the batteries you need. Okay, if you wear these on average about 16 hours a day, these batteries should last about a week, a little bit more or less, 7 to 9 days. Okay. As long as you remember to open up the battery door, you can always just change them out every week. Some people like to just choose every Sunday morning, just change them so they don't have to worry about the hearing aids dying out on them in the middle of the day. Okay? Now, the next part is on how to wear them. Okay, so first of all, this is what your hearing aid looks like. This is the part that goes behind the ear. Okay? This is the part, this little curve right here, goes right at the edge of your ear. So it goes right here, okay? And this part, of course, goes inside your ear. A lot of patients do it differently, but what I like to teach my patients is I always tell them to put the back part first. So once you get that correctly, it's like an anchor. So all you have to do is just follow the receiver and put it right into your ear. That's it, okay? Some people like to put this part in first, the receiver part, and then the back part, whichever is easier for you, okay? So I always just tell them kind of put it over your ear, put this into your ear, and you're all set, okay? Now, how to use them. You have these two buttons right here. Some people call this a rocker switch, some people just call these two buttons. It doesn't matter. This is your volume control, okay? So if the patient's wearing it, if you press the top button, you'll be raising the volume. If you press the bottom button, you'll be lowering the volume. Sometimes this may not even be enabled in the hearing aid, so depending on if your hearing aid dispenser or dispensing audiologist does it, that's when it applies. For programming options, you simply hold it for 2 seconds, let go, and you should hear the corresponding 2 beeps, 3 beeps, 4 beeps for the second, third, or fourth program respectively. Okay? After that, you simply ask them any questions, if they have any questions so far, or if they understand everything. But that's essentially how you would give a patient their first instructions on how to wear a hearing aid, how to clean them, how to take care of them, all of that. Okay? And other than that, you are pretty much all set.